imagine you're walking through life, right?
Yeah.
And you're carrying this just massive, ridiculously heavy backpack.
Oh, I think we all know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And inside this backpack is, well, every bad thing that has ever happened to you, every expectation your parents ever had for you, and that constant nagging worry of what your coworkers think of you.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It really is. Now imagine just unbuckling that backpack, dropping it on the ground, and just walking away. You don't open it to examine the contents.
Yeah.
You don't try to organize the weight. You just leave it.
That sounds incredibly liberating.
Right. And that is the core premise we are unpacking in today's deep dive into Alfred Adler's psychology. We're largely looking at this through the framework of the book, The Courage to be Disliked. We are going to look at how to completely rewire your approach to happiness, trauma, and, your relationships.
It really is a profound shift in perspective. I mean, Freud and Jung usually get all the pop culture glory when we talk about psychology.
Oh, for sure.
But Alfred Adler, who was actually a core member of Freud's original circle before they famously parted ways, he offers something entirely different. His ideas are deeply aligned with classical Greek philosophy.
Which sounds super academic, but it's really not.
Not at all. If we look at the struggles you face today, the daily anxiety, the exhaustion of people-pleasing, the feeling of burnout, Adler's framework is just incredibly sharp and relentlessly practical.
Right, but before we can build up to what actually makes us happy, Adler insists we have to completely tear down our understanding of why we are unhappy.
Yes, the teardown is essential.
And that starts with a massive philosophical collision between two concepts, Freudian etiology and Adlerian teleology.
Yeah, and this is usually the hardest concept for people to accept. So etiology is the study of causation. It's the Freudian model we all know and love.
The whole your past dictates your present thing.
Exactly. Your past trauma dictates your present behavior.
Yeah.
You are the way you are because of what happened to you. And, well, we love etiology because it's incredibly comforting.
It totally lets us off the hook.
It does. Because if your current unhappiness is the result of your past, then it is not your fault, and you don't have to take responsibility for changing it.
Wow. Yeah, that is a tough pill to swallow.
Right. Now, teleology, on the other hand, is the study of purpose. Adlerian teleology argues that your past does not drive you. Instead, your present goals dictate your behavior.
Okay, so etiology is I am acting this way because X happened to me. And teleology is I am acting this way to achieve Y.
Exactly that. Think of a young man who has, say, shut himself in his room for years. He suffers from severe anxiety, heart palpitations, and physical shaking whenever he even thinks about opening his front door.
That sounds terrifying for him.
It is. Now, Freudian etiology would say we must dig into his past to find the cause. Was he horribly bullied at school? Were his parents abusive?
Right, looking for the root cause.
Exactly. The assumption is that past trauma is acting as a physical barrier keeping him inside. But Adler completely rejects this. Adler argues that the young man isn't paralyzed by past trauma at all.
Wait, really? Then what's doing it?
He has the present goal of staying inside, and his brain is fabricating the anxiety and the physical fear as tools to achieve that goal.
Okay, let's unpack this because I know exactly how that sounds to anyone listening. Wait, so trauma is just a myth. That sounds dangerously close to victim blaming.
I know, it really does sound harsh at first.
I mean, it sounds like a mechanic looking at a completely busted car engine and saying, oh, the engine isn't broken, it's actually functioning perfectly because the car just wants to stay in the garage.
Yeah.
It feels, dismissive of very real suffering.
It is a jarring concept, and it's completely natural to push back against it. But the nuance here is crucial. Adler does not deny that terrible things happen.
Okay, good. So he's not delusional.
Right. He isn't saying abuse, accidents, or tragedies are illusions. What he denies is that those experiences mechanically determine your life.
Got it.
Adler famously says that we are not determined by our experiences, but rather the meaning we give those experiences is self-determining. You are not a machine mindlessly processing past inputs. You are an active agent.
So going back to the shut-in guy.
Yes. In his case, the physical symptoms are absolutely real. His heart really is racing. But why? What is the goal of staying inside?
I mean, safety. Avoidance.
Well, if he stays inside, his parents worry. He remains the center of their universe. They tiptoe around him and cater to his needs.
Oh, wow.
Right. If he takes a step outside, he loses that special status and becomes just another average, faceless member of society. So the anxiety is a real physical response, but it is generated to serve the goal of remaining special and protected.
Which means we are using our emotions as tools
Mhm.
rather than being hijacked by them. There's this incredible illustration of this in the book with a mother screaming at her daughter.
Oh, the phone call example. I love this one.
Yes, she's just losing her absolute mind in a furious, uncontrollable rage. Suddenly her cell phone rings. The mother picks it up, realizes it's her daughter's homeroom teacher, and instantly her voice drops an octave.
Like flipping a switch.
Exactly. She becomes polite, articulate, the picture of grace for a 5-minute chat. But the second she hangs up the phone, she goes right back to screaming at her daughter.
That perfectly exposes the mechanism. Anger is not some uncontrollable external force that possessed the mother. It is a tool she pulled out of her toolbox.
A tool for what, though?
She chose to use anger to assert dominance and control over her daughter. When the teacher called, anger no longer served her purpose, so she put the tool away.
And then just picked it right back up.
Exactly. When the call ended, she needed to reestablish dominance, so she grabbed the tool again. We choose our emotions to achieve our immediate, often subconscious goals.
Man, if we are just manufacturing our own negative emotions to achieve these hidden goals, it feels like we're operating in a vacuum. But we aren't alone. It seems like the friction only really happens when our goals collide with someone else's.
Exactly, and that brings us to Adler's most famous and perhaps most sweeping claim. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems.
Wait, all of them, without exception.
Without exception. He argues that if you lived completely alone in the universe, no past humanity, no future humanity, just you, the very concepts of loneliness or inferiority or worry simply could not exist.
Because there's no one around to trigger those feelings.
Right. You could only feel inferior if there is someone else to compare yourself to.
I really like example of height to explain this. Imagine someone who is 61 inches tall.
A great example.
For a long time, they might view this as a massive flaw, a source of deep inferiority. But then someone points out that a small stature actually puts other people at ease, makes you approachable instead of intimidating.
It changes the entire context.
Exactly. Suddenly, the exact same objective measurement, 61 inches, becomes an advantage. It proves that feelings of inferiority are entirely subjective assumptions, not objective facts.
Yeah.
It's like a $1 bill. The paper itself has zero objective value. We just all agree socially that it's worth something.
That's a brilliant way to look at it. The objective reality didn't change, only the interpersonal context did. And Adler makes a very sharp distinction here between a healthy feeling of inferiority and an inferiority complex.
Okay, what's the difference?
A healthy feeling of inferiority is actually a launch pad. It is simply recognizing the gap between who you currently are and who you want to be. That gap drives you to study harder, train longer, and improve.
That makes sense. It's motivating.
But an inferiority complex is when you take that gap and use it as an excuse. It's the person who says, I'm not naturally talented, so there's no point in trying.
Oh, I see.
They are using their perceived lack as a shield to avoid the scary effort of trying and potentially failing.
And it goes the other way, too, with the superiority complex, right?
Mm.
Bragging is actually just an inverted feeling of inferiority.
Precisely. If you were truly confident, you wouldn't need to flaunt it.
You only brag because you desperately need other people to validate your worth. But I think the darkest version of this, and maybe the most common today, is what Adler calls weaponizing misfortune.
Yes, that is a fascinating concept.
It's how people use their suffering to control others. In our culture, weakness can be incredibly powerful. Think about a helpless baby.
They run the house.
Right. A baby is the most powerful, dominating figure in any household because their complete vulnerability demands that everyone else adapt to them.
Weaponized misfortune is a profound observation. When someone weaponizes their trauma, they declare themselves so uniquely broken that no one is allowed to criticize them and everyone must cater to them.
It's a defense mechanism on steroids.
Exactly. They use their pain as a trump card to maintain a position of absolute superiority.
I instantly thought of social media dynamics when reading that. You see people competing in this bizarre trauma Olympics, constantly trying to prove who has been victimized more, who has it worse.
It's everywhere online.
Because in that specific ecosystem, the person with the most trauma holds the most power to dictate the conversation and demand accommodation from everyone else.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this entire dynamic inferiority complexes, superiority complexes, the trauma Olympics happens because we fundamentally view life as a vertical competition.
Like we're constantly climbing a ladder.
Exactly. We see life as a ladder, You are either climbing above someone or being kicked down by them. Adler argues we have to completely dismantle that worldview and replace it with a flat plane.
A flat plane, how does that work?
Imagine everyone is walking forward on a vast, infinite field. Some people are walking faster, some are further ahead, but everyone is walking on the exact same level ground. We are all equal, but not the same.
So nobody is above or below me.
Right. When you drop the vertical ladder, other people stop being threats to your ego and start being your comrades.
So if I accept that my feelings of inferiority are just tools I'm using to avoid trying, and I realize I'm stuck on this exhausting vertical ladder, how do I actually step off?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because it feels impossible to just, turn off my desire for my boss's approval or my parents' validation. We are so conditioned to crave that recognition.
We are deeply conditioned for it. Our entire reward and punishment education system is built on it. You do something good, you get praised. You do something bad, you get punished. So we grow up constantly seeking applause.
It's like we're trained animals sometimes.
Basically, yes. But living to satisfy the expectations of others means you are effectively throwing away your true self to live someone else's life. You become an actor in their play.
Ouch.
To break free from this, Adler introduces a deeply pragmatic tool called the separation of tasks.
This is where the philosophy becomes a daily practice, I think. And the rule for separating tasks is actually really straightforward.
Yeah.
How do you know whose task is whose? You just ask one question. Who ultimately receives the result of the choice?
Exactly. Let's apply that to a classic struggle, a child who refuses to study.
Oh, every parent's nightmare.
Right. Most parents will yell, confiscate electronics, and physically force the child to sit at the desk. But whose task is studying?
Well, the kids?
Yes. Ultimately, if the child doesn't study, they are the one who fails the class or doesn't get the job they want later. The parent does not receive that result. Therefore, studying is strictly the child's task.
So the parents are overstepping.
Big time. When a parent forces the child to study, they are intruding on the child's task.
Yeah.
And if we are honest, parents usually intrude because of their own ego or fear of social judgment.
They're worried about what the neighbors or the teachers will think of them.
Precisely.
It reminds me of Alexander the Great and the Gordian knot. There was this legendary, impossibly tangled knot, and prophecy said whoever unraveled it would rule Asia.
A great metaphor for family dynamics.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Everyone tried to painstakingly untangle it by hand. Alexander just walked up, drew his sword, and sliced it in half.
Yeah.
You don't carefully untangle toxic interpersonal expectations. You cut them.
You have to sever them.
But I have to push back here. If my kid is failing, or my best friend is about to make a disastrous financial decision, am I supposed to just stand back, cross my arms, and watch them crash and burn? That doesn't sound like freedom. It sounds like being incredibly cold and isolated.
It is very easy to misinterpret the separation of tasks as abandonment, but it is actually the gateway to genuine support.
How so?
Think of the old proverb. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. If it's your child or your friend, you don't abandon them. You clearly communicate that you are there to help. You provide the resources. You offer the advice.
But you stop there.
Yes, you do not intervene or force their hand. Taking over their task robs them of the opportunity to learn, to fail, and to grow. You maintain a moderate distance, close enough to support them if they ask, but not so close that you are living their life for them.
Which means you have to be okay with them making choices you absolutely hate. And if you stop fulfilling everyone's expectations, if you tell your parents you aren't going to law school, or you tell your boss you aren't working the weekend, people are going to get incredibly upset with you. Friction is inevitable.
It is entirely inevitable, and that forces us to confront a really uncomfortable question about what freedom actually means.
Right, because it doesn't feel free when everyone is mad at you.
The philosopher Immanuel Kant talked about inclination or natural instinctual desires. Human beings are social animals. We naturally incline toward wanting to be liked. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism.
We want to belong to the tribe so we don't get eaten by a tiger.
Exactly. We want to roll downhill following gravity. But Adler argues that freedom is not rolling downhill. Real freedom is the effort of pushing yourself up the hill against your natural biological inclinations.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Think of your desire for recognition like a financial budget.
Oh, I like this analogy.
If you spend all your emotional currency trying to buy everyone's approval, you literally bankrupt yourself. You become a populist politician who makes impossible contradictory promises to every single demographic just to get their vote.
And eventually you can't deliver.
Right. Eventually, the lies catch up to you. You can't please everyone, and you end up trapped, living a completely unfree life, just trying to maintain the fragile image you built.
Precisely. You end up lying to yourself and to those around you. Therefore, the ultimate cost of freedom in your interpersonal relationships is that you will be disliked by someone.
Oof, that's tough.
It is. Being disliked is not something you should actively seek out, but it is not something to be avoided either. It is simply the necessary proof that you are exercising your freedom and living according to your own principles.
So it's a byproduct, not the goal.
Exactly. You do not control whether someone likes you. That is strictly their task. Your task is to live authentically. If someone dislikes you for that, you must leave that task with them.
But if I stop caring whether people dislike me, and I rigidly enforce my boundaries and separate my tasks, doesn't that just turn me into an isolated jerk? I mean, if I'm just walking my own path and ignoring everyone else's opinions, where's the connection?
That is the greatest danger of misunderstanding Adler. The separation of tasks is not the end goal, it is only the starting line.
Oh, okay.
The ultimate destination of all this work is something far deeper, which Adler calls community feeling.
Community feeling. The idea that we all possess a fundamental desire to belong. But Adler argues we don't achieve belonging by acting like we are the protagonists of the universe, demanding that everyone serve our needs.
No, not at all.
We achieve it by actively contributing to the community.
Yes, belonging isn't a right you were born with. It is something you build through contribution. And the way we foster that community feeling brings us to one of Adler's most counterintuitive, controversial rules for human interaction.
Brace yourselves.
Do not rebuke and do not praise.
I struggle with that rule so much. Like, not rebuking makes sense, yelling at people doesn't work, but praising is bad.
It sounds backwards, I know.
If I tell a coworker, hey, you wrote a brilliant report, I'm just being supportive. But Adler actually sees that as manipulation. It makes it sound like we're just supposed to stay silent and stoic when someone does a good job.
What's fascinating here is the power dynamic behind the praise. Think about when you praise a dog for sitting. You give it a treat and say, good boy.
Yeah.
You are passing judgment from a position of authority. Praise inherently implies a vertical relationship. It is an evaluation passed down from a person of higher status to a person of lower status.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that.
When you praise a coworker, even with good intentions, you are unconsciously enforcing a hierarchy. You are using a carrot instead of a stick to manipulate their future behavior.
Treating them like the dog doing a trick.
Exactly. Adlerian psychology insists that to achieve true community feeling, we must build horizontal relationships. We must treat each other as equals on that flat plane we talked about.
So if praising is toxic because it's top-down, what is the alternative? How do I acknowledge someone's good work horizontally?
You use encouragement, and the language of encouragement is simply pure gratitude. Instead of saying, good job, which evaluates their work, you say, thank you, or I'm really glad you did that, or that report was a huge help to me.
So it's about my appreciation, not an objective grade on their performance.
Exactly. You are not judging their capability. You are expressing how their action benefited you or the team. When people hear genuine words of gratitude, they realize they have made a meaningful contribution.
And that contribution builds the community feeling.
Yes. And according to Adler, it is only when a person feels they are beneficial to the community that they find the courage to face their life tasks.
And what I found so beautiful about this is that the contribution doesn't even have to be measured by what you do. It's not just about producing reports or achieving goals.
No, it goes much deeper than that.
There is an incredibly poignant example of a sick mother lying in a hospital bed. She might be completely immobilized. She isn't physically doing anything useful. She's not cooking, she's not working, she isn't running errands.
Right.
But simply by existing, she provides immense emotional value to her family. They're just profoundly grateful she is alive. It shifts our entire societal lens. You have worth simply because you exist. Value comes from the level of being, not just the level of acts.
It is a radical departure from how modern society measures worth. Can you accept yourself and others strictly on the level of being, without demanding they perform tricks or achieve milestones to earn your validation?
It's so hard, but so necessary.
When you separate your tasks, step off the vertical ladder of competition and start treating everyone as horizontal equals, you unlock true psychological freedom. You no longer need their applause to feel your own inherent worth.
So let's bring all of this together for you. The path to a well-informed, genuinely happier life isn't about digging through the basement of your past traumas to find a convenient excuse for your present behavior.
Leave the basement behind.
Exactly. It means taking off that heavy backpack. It means dropping your desperate, exhausting need for the applause of your parents, your boss, and your peers.
And stepping off the ladder.
Right. It means staying in your own lane, practicing the separation of tasks, and letting other people handle their own business without your ego intervening. And most importantly, it means treating everyone you meet, including yourself, as a horizontal equal, worthy of gratitude just for being here.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, lingering question to ponder on your own. Think about the person you have been blaming the most for your unhappiness.
We all have one.
Maybe it's a parent who is too demanding, an ex-partner, or a toxic old boss. What if that person is actually a secret collaborator in your life right now?
Wait, what? A collaborator.
Think about it. If you are using their past mistakes as your personal card to avoid taking risks today, if their past actions are your convenient excuse for not stepping out into the unknown, aren't you the one actively choosing to keep them in power over you?
Oh, that is brutal.
You are keeping them on the throne so you don't have to take the terrifying responsibility of writing your own future.
That is a heavy thing to realize. It forces you to look in the mirror. But, it's also incredibly liberating. Because if you gave them that power, you can take it back.
Exactly.
Take back your cards, cut the knot of everyone else's expectations, and find the courage to be free.